Hello everyone, my name is Tia and I'm a licensed psychotherapist. Today we're talking about ghosting, when it's okay, when it's not okay, and what to say instead of ghosting. Ghosting is when we intentionally stop communicating with somebody that we once considered for a potential relationship without explaining why. It's when we decide to stop responding to texts or messages or phone calls. This could be a gradual fade into less and less contact, or it could be a sudden and total cutoff. Now, ghosting is different than just falling out of regular communication with somebody or categorizing them as just like a casual friend or an acquaintance. Ghosting is deliberate. It's a one-sided avoidance of communicating our lack of interest to somebody. People ghost because they want to passively communicate rather than directly communicate. It's a practice that really should be a rarity, but unfortunately, it's been a frequent, normalized bad habit for many people. It's really tempting to want to just hold ourselves to that standard and think ghosting is okay for us too. But on this channel, we choose to prioritize mental health and wellness for ourselves and other people when it's possible and appropriate. As you may know, or could probably guess, being ghosted is not a pleasant experience. It leaves a person feeling confused and hurt and disrespected. They're left kind of wondering, did I say or do something wrong? Did they prefer somebody else? Or were they just using me this whole time? And so on and so forth. While the intensity of the impact can depend on whether they've known this person for a while or they're just a new person that they were excited about and saw potential, there's always a sting. On top of that, if somebody gets ghosted over and over again, it can really screw up their sense of self. They believe that there's somebody that's rejectable, but don't exactly know why. The ghostee has no choice but to kind of fill in the blanks as to why they think somebody wouldn't like them, and that typically mirrors their biggest insecurities about themselves. The price of ghosting is reinforcing somebody's worst beliefs about themselves and even negative beliefs they have about relationships in general. On one hand, adults have full responsibility for cultivating their sense of self and which beliefs they develop. On the other hand, the ghoster chooses to avoid the discomfort of communicating at the expense of the ghostee. Some of you aren't going to like this. This may be really uncomfortable to hear. Unnecessary and uncalled for ghosting is lazy. It's cowardly. And it's a sign that the ghoster doesn't have the communication skills necessary for a mature relationship yet. And we're here to help. So the big question is, when is ghosting okay? If a person genuinely makes you feel unsafe or unsettled, ghosting is the appropriate response. Some people give us the creeps, and our bodies have a visceral response that we can't and shouldn't ignore. We don't need to explain to a potential predator that we see them as a threat. We just need to get the hell away from them. Outside of potential threats, if we have adequately communicated to somebody that we don't want to continue a relationship with them and they aren't taking no for an answer, ghosting is the appropriate follow-through to that communication. I put quotes around ghosting because in that scenario, you're not technically ghosting. You did communicate with them, they just aren't listening. And we don't have to stick around until they give us permission to leave. If not those scenarios, communication is the appropriate thing to do. There are many reasons why ghosting is the more comfortable option for a lot of people. Maybe the ghoster didn't grow up in a home where effective communication was modeled for them. Maybe they really struggle with being honest about how they feel, let alone communicating it to somebody else. Maybe they just don't want to hurt the other person's feelings because they're not sure how to communicate in a way that's clear and kind. All of those are valid and make sense. And I'm here with examples of what to say instead of ghosting. I didn't feel a connection between us, but I appreciate the opportunity you gave me to figure that out. I don't think we're a great match for each other, but I appreciate the chance to get to know you. I don't feel like we've been able to meet each other's needs. I think it's best that we find people who can. We don't have the same values, interests, goals, priorities to be sustainable together, but I sincerely hope you find what you're looking for. Now, we can't control how the other person is going to respond to this, and that responsibility is their own. All we have to do is be clear and kind, and we can know we did the right thing. If we want the privilege of relationships, we have the responsibility to learn how to be an active participant in them. That means becoming aware of our communication weaknesses and working towards strengthening them. It means getting in touch with how we feel and what we need. It means practicing being vulnerable with someone else and speaking up for ourselves. It means developing the emotional maturity to lean into discomfort. It means allowing others the dignity to know what happened and to have their own emotional processing of that experience and to be responsible for managing that themselves, instead of using the excuse that I just don't want to hurt their feelings as a disguise for avoiding our own discomfort. We all have pains from the past that could have been prevented with proper communication. Let's do our best to limit any unnecessary pain. If you're looking for a space to improve your self-awareness and your communication skills, therapy can be a great place to start. And you could subscribe here because I've got more good stuff for you. Let us know in the comment section below. How did you phrase a goodbye instead of ghosting? Let's help each other out.